3, 2, 1. Hi everyone, I'm interior designer Cathy Hobbs, owner of Cathy Hobbs Design Recipes, an interior design and home staging company based in New York City for more than 20 years. If you don't know me, I was a newscaster mostly in New York. And welcome to The Real, where I share some of my tricks of the trade on how you can harness the power of video, giving you some real practical tips and tricks of the trade. And today, the special guest is David Basulto. He is a video guru and inventor. Let's take a look to learn more about David Basulto and Iographer. David, welcome.
Good morning, Cathy. How are you today?
You look like you're in a studio right now.
Well, I like to get kind of fancy schmancy with big lighting and all kinds of fun things. But yeah, I'm sitting in my home office as I have been for 7 or 8 months now. So it's been great, though.
I want to talk about how I met you. I'm going to share with everyone. So I met David. He doesn't even remember meeting me at Social Media Examiner, which is a juggernaut as far as a social media world as it relates to conferences. And I've actually attended for the last 7 years. I mean, when I started going to these conferences, it was in a smaller hotel. Then it got really big, and it's held in San Diego every year. And in fact, I was there right before COVID. It was one of the last.
Oh, you went to the last one. Wow.
Yeah. It was one of the last business trips I took. So I was walking through the aisles. They have vendors. I mean, and we're talking about any gadget relating to video, social media that you can imagine. And I see David, and he is surrounded not only by people, but by equipment. And he had multiple setups, and he had an iPad over here and an iPhone, and it looked like a broadcast. And I started talking to him. And I wanted to know what he had. And I just thought it was so interesting. He had an iPhone on a holder, and then he had an iPad on a holder. And I said, well, what's your background? He said, well, I used to be a teacher and in a video department. And then I created this invention. And David knew that I had talked to him because I remembered that story. So tell everybody about yourself and how you came to be an inventor of Iographer, which, trust me, folks, is really a game changer as it relates to broadcasting with just your cell phone and an iPad.
Well, you're too kind, but thank you, Cathy. And I do remember now. I think we were in the couch section of the show, and I was surrounded. I had all kinds of gear out and stuff. But anyway, I do remember. So yeah, I was in the entertainment business for many years as an executive producer at Lifetime Television, executive producer at Mel Gibson's company, and I was really burned out by the whole film world and wanted to do something different. And so what my different thing was come home and hang out on the couch and play video games, and my wife said no. So I got my teaching credential and ended up teaching media arts and animation at my rival high school growing up. So that was a lot of fun. And I just fell in love with teaching. It was one of the greatest experiences in my whole life. It was very rewarding and everything. However, we had 130 students all day in my classes, and I was stuck with maybe 5 different cameras, a couple of big Sony broadcast cameras, a couple of DSLRs, and I just didn't have the ability to go and go out and get as much content or much work done And God forbid if it was football season, because all the football coaches made us film all their stuff, so the students didn't have access to any of this stuff. So I started to let them, around that time, the iPad mini had just come out, and I'd been a huge fan since the first gigantic iPad came out. I saw them as what a great tool for education, because all of a sudden you can have all your books on here. I mean, I saw these kids walking around with these giant, heavy backpacks of these huge books. And I thought, God, this is going to be a great way to be able to study and whatnot. And then I saw when they came out with the second generation, had a camera in it. It shot high definition video, and we started to tinker around with it. And I thought this is a great little device to use. And so when the mini came out, that was it for me. The price point and everything. I go, we're going to start using these in the classroom. I got some for them to use, but what I was seeing was a lot of shaky video, bad lighting, audio wasn't very good, and I'm like, well, what if we start tinkering and plugging in and putting lenses and plugging in good audio and pro stuff, and all of it's just kind of worked with the iPad and the iPhone. And so then I'm like, okay, well, the next thing I need is I want some way to stabilize this. I want to be able to put it on tripods. I want to have some kind of handle to walk around with it and have a steady shot. I wanted shoes on top, lens ability, and I didn't see anything on the market. So I know 3D software. I started tinkering around and designing things. And I came up with this sketch, and I made it in a 3D printer.
Wow.
And yeah, what used to probably to prototype an idea or an invention cost tens of thousands of dollars. Mine cost $200 to get it printed. And then, I had this working prototype. And so that was it. I was done. That was my big plan. I'm such a genius. I stopped right there.
Now, you were teaching broadcast media in high school?
So broadcast media in high school, animation, filmmaking. We were doing all of that with these high school kids. We ended up winning tons of awards and, Adobe Education Leader and all that stuff. And so I just loved it because
this is in California?
This in San Marino, California, and it's a beautiful little town. And what I loved was, especially one idea that we had done was the kids had to do something for Mother's Day and bring in photos and shoot videos of themselves and make these cool things for their Mother's Day project. And I got so many gifts from mothers after that because they were like, wow, they've never done anything like that before. But I just wanted to unleash the creativity that they had within them. They're stuck all day doing science and math and anyway. And so now we're able to be creative with these great intuitive devices. So I was done after we made the first Iographer in my classroom, and I was just to be a teacher. And then one of the kids said, hey, why don't you try Kickstarter? And I had no idea what that was. And so I submitted it. We did that whole thing. And the next thing I know is the New York Times calls me, Forbes magazine calls me, the teacher trying to revolutionize video. And I was like, wow, okay, that's kind of crazy. And we ended up reaching our goal on Kickstarter. And then there I was left in a lurch of how in the heck do I make these things? I'm 3D printed the first one. We're sure not going to do that. And I had no idea what injection molding was. But I was very lucky along this whole path. Because one of my students' parents owned an injection molding company, and they explained to me how it all be made. And so we make everything here in California. And then one of my other parents had a box packaging company, and so they do like Lancome and all these big brands. And so they took me under their wing and started packaging my stuff. I found fulfillment centers, so I wouldn't have to do all this out of my garage. And all of a sudden, we started this company, and still I was like, this is, how do I do all? And luckily, one of the kids' parents who I'd been friends with for years, who's a big senior executive at at Disney. He'll kill me for saying that, for Disney. But he took me for a long walk one day and wore me down. At the end of the walk, he handed me a $500,000 check to start up the company. So
well, being a teacher wasn't a bad thing.
No, being a teacher has led me down a whole other path I never thought I'd be going down. So then the Iographer was born 9 years later. We're in 19 countries. Every day something new and exciting comes my way. Ariana Grande holding it in her music video, different Steven Spielberg, the Boston Celtics. I was sitting in their office showing them how to use all these things, which is really hard for me because I'm a diehard Laker fan. And but money's green, so I went and just had a great time. So it's just I love where I'm at, and every day something new comes out of this, and especially now in this era that we're in, we're just helping a lot of people stay connected for their companies, their parishes, whatever, and it's just been a very eye-opening experience. So I've been blessed.
It's funny when you talk about video and how video has transformed. I actually got into television in 1990, and it was a tube camera, and I was hired in Columbia, South Carolina as a night side reporter, and they would call it Watts of Love, that they had to blast with my face so you would see more than teeth on the air. And then the photographer had a separate bag with a tape deck. And so you talk about starting off when you were a teacher with broadcast studio equipment and then being able to essentially replace it with a cell phone and an iPad. I mean, that really is a game changer. So let's take a look at Iographer. I want you to do some show and tells, show people how this works, because this really does allow you to almost have a studio on the go. And that's why I was so fascinated with you when I met you.
That's too kind. Thank you. So yeah, these little devices like this, they are powerhouses. Not only can you do videos on this, videography, you can do photography on this. You can do animations, stop motion animations. You can edit everything you could possibly want to do professionally on this with some of the apps that we'll talk about later. You can do podcasts. I mean, you name it, it is available in here. And for a fraction of the cost. For example, the editing program, I think it's like something like $10 a month or something. But going back to when I first started teaching and we had Adobe Premiere Pro in the classroom, it was I want to say it was $190 a seat or $200 a seat for 30 different seats for the classroom. If I wanted to buy it as just for myself, it was $1,700. So it's come a long way. So the iPad was great, right? So we have it, but we're holding it. You see people doing this today as well. And so they're holding it and they're shaky and So I made this little case that is really lightweight. That's got handles. And what you do is you get the iPad, you line it up like this. If I can do this backwards, and then you pop it in like that. It's totally safe now. You can't fall out. And now you're able to shoot nice and with stability. You can put it onto a tripod down here. You can put it vertically if you're doing like Instagram kind of stories. And then if you want, you can add different lenses. So right here in this little area, you would screw on a lens. And let me see if I can do this in the camera. There we go. I'll take the lens cap off, and now you're ready to go and film with this is a telephoto lens. So if you were shooting sports and you were far away, or you're just far away from your subject, you got a nice telephoto lens. And this is this is how it works. It's just fantastic. And then over the years, so we made the iPad cases fit specifically for that iPad. So if you had a mini, it would be for the mini. If you had a 10.5 Pro, it would go for that. Where we were having problems, we needed to get away from that because every mold kept costing us like $50,000. And Apple is notorious for saying, oh, you know what, on this new generation of iPad, we're going to make it 1/8 of an inch bigger and move the camera over an inch or whatever. And so just drive us batty. So we launched last year the Iographer multi-case that people have been loving. If I do say so myself, and you can read the reviews on Amazon. But it's the same thing for phones. So you have the ability now, instead of holding your small phone, right? So you're like this and it's all shaky and stuff. You grab the multi-case, you slide it in like this, and now you're able to start to film with it and add lights, microphones. You can shoot it vertically if you want with quarter 20s on either side. You can add accessories to the quarter 20s. On the bottom, it's got the quarter 20 for tripod once again. And then you can add lenses. We have all kinds of options for that. And this turns into just a filmmaking powerhouse, as the New York Times said. So very proud of this. And it's just crazy. And then.
So David, I want to stop you just for a second. Okay. With the multi-case, you're saying with one case, you can use that one case for either a cell phone or an iPad. You can basically adjust it.
Well, so for the multi-case, so we actually, let me get to that one. The multi-case here is for mobile phones only, but what opened up for us when we made this was we were now able to bring in the Android world, which people thought I was very stuck up because all I made stuff was for iOS. And I was like, no, not really. This is what I use. I think Android phones are great. You know, there's the Pixel. I mean, there's some great, the Note. I mean, they're really nice phones. I prefer using iOS stuff, but I know there's a ton of people out there. So that really opened it up for people to use their Android phones and still get the same kind of equipment and whatnot. For the iPad one, we actually are launching. We were going to launch it this year. Of course, COVID hit, so we did a really huge pinch on funds to make sure we could survive COVID. And thankfully, everything's going well. So we will launch probably early February. We're going to have the Iographer Pro, which is a new case that's going to fit everything from the iPad 9.7 all the way up to the giant iPad Pro 12.9. It also fits the Microsoft Surface. It fits tons of Chrome tabs. So it's going to be the one case that fits all these different things. We've been trying to work with the NFL for years, but they have a long-term commitment with Microsoft. So we wanted to make sure that that our new product would fit the Surface, and it does, and it works great. So if you're on any of these ecosystems, you certainly can. Our new case is going to be awesome for you.
So the Iographer Pro basically will be a multi-case
for tablets.
For tablets and for cell phones.
No, there's two different. The multi-case is this one. This is all for phones. And then the tablet one is the Pro. That's for on any tablet from 9.7 on up.
So I need two. If I want one for my cell phone and I want one for my tablet, I need two.
Yes.
Got it.
Otherwise, if we had it for the tablet and the phone, it would be way too big for the phone. So
that's why I was asking.
Yeah.
So can you show us how you would put a light on in an Iographer?
Yeah. So there's some options here. So one of the things that's part of your kit actually is this little ring light that people are like fanatical about. Everyone loves light, and you plug it into a little external battery like this, and it's got where is it here? It actually comes with a little mini tripod too, and provides a lot of light. So you turn it on, and there it goes. And it provides a lot of soft light for you. You can change the colors of it. Let me see what we have here. If we want a little more amber or bright white or a mix of the two, you can do all of that. So something like this, you certainly can, there's a little mount that you could have to put it on top of this, of your case. So then all of a sudden you would have that. Now, if you don't want to walk around with a huge light like this, there's some smaller lights that we also have that just clip right on and provide decent amount of light as well. So there's lots of lighting options, and we try and get everything to fill everyone's, whatever situation they have.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because Iographer isn't just a case. You have a whole suite of products that anyone can use essentially to become broadcast ready. It goes far beyond just the cases. You've developed other products, right?
Yeah, so this past year, because of demand, we created our own microphones. We resell a lot of other microphones as well, big brands, Rode, Sennheiser, Ceramonic. They make some fantastic wireless stuff. And then we created our own lavalier mic, frankly, because we were getting orders that some of the vendors were not able to fulfill for us because of the ability of getting stuff into the country. And so we didn't want to leave money on the table. So we started developing our own microphones and whatnot. But we also sell, tons of different lighting, some of our own, some great vendors that we like. Loom Cube is one of our favorites. We're good friends with them. Lenses, we have Iographer brand lenses, but we also are the distributor for Case Lens, which are super professional like lenses if you're looking for wide angles and telephotos and super telephotos and you want to add filters and all kinds of things. We have all that as well. And it's interesting, the really quick backstory of this was when I created all these things, I had one product, which was the Iographer for the iPad mini. And so I had a little store, and that was kind of like the only product. And I found a tripod manufacturer, so we started doing some tripods. But I got a call from the BBC, and they had seen a bunch of photos of our stuff and wanted to know if they could buy that entire kit for an entire wing of their station. And so I'm like, oh my God. So I had to go and learn on the spot how to become a reseller of a bunch of different brands. And all of a sudden our store started to take shape. And, we were carrying Manfrotto lighting. We were carrying different microphones. We were carrying different tripods, green screens. And, all of a sudden I became this crazy reseller of all these things. And it's been fantastic. And it's everything that I've used and tried. That's why I get approached all the time by people saying, hey, this is a new product we have. If I try it out and I don't like it at all, I'll do a really kind thing to them and let them know nicely, but I won't put it in my store. So I back every single item that's in our store.
And we're talking about an online store, correct? Online,
yeah. So that was the other thing was I knew there was no way I wanted to go to an office every day and a store every day. And it's funny because I have a lot of people who would ask us, hey, I need this today. Can I come by and get it somewhere? And I'm like, well, you're not coming to my house. So, but luckily we do have some distributors in the United States. B&H Photo is a big photo place in New York.
They sell Iographer?
They sell Iographer stuff there. Autorama is another one. And then of course we're on Amazon as well. But the main crux of it is our store, because basically not only when you go shopping there, little secret that people can know is that if you go into the chat window, it's usually me. So if you have questions, and one of the things I like to do is I will shoot a little video. If you have a serious question, I'll do a little video walking you through what you need for the situation that you're asking about. And people love that.
Yeah, that's David's thing. When he was mostly communicating to me via video, and he would send me an email saying, watch this video. So I want to talk to you about technique.
I hate typing, that's why.
I want to talk about technique because we want to really teach people how to be able to use their cell phone, use their iPad, and get high performance. So you have your cell phone, you have your iPad. Essentially, how do you use it? How do you use Iographer? What do you do next? Do you turn on the lights? Do you turn off the lights? Do you use the tap feature? Do you not use the tap feature? Essentially, how does someone get great video and photographs? Mm-hmm. What are some of your tips?
Well, first of all, if you're just using your phone or your iPad and you're using the Apple camera app, at the very least, there's a few things that you have to do. And I don't know if you've experienced this yourself, but I've had a plethora of people who have told me that they have. And I have a really well-watched video on YouTube about this. But if you do not lock your focus by getting your device and holding down the little square inside of it until it pulses and stops, you have autofocus on, and the iPad is a device, or the iPhone is a device that will constantly look for some focal point. So if I'm here, you're filming me and I just move a little bit, it might go, oh, let's look at the picture in the back now. Let's focus on that. And you'll get this pulsing action, and it makes your videos pretty much useless. So so that is one thing that you would want to do. And the other thing that's really simple to do is, at the very least, plug in your earbud earphones that come with the devices or that you've had from old phones, because that is kind of like a real simple lavalier mic, because it has, you're making phone calls with it, and they're clear. So at the very least, plug that in so you get better audio than just using the onboard audio from the devices. Those are two big things.
I have actually never thought about using earbuds as a lavalier. I really like a true lavalier.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about audio, because you offer a plethora of products that can really help give you that broadcast quality audio. And I want you to talk about what each one of these products are and in which application you would use them.
Sure. So if, for example, if I was just out and about filming myself talking in front of the camera, a lavalier mic is fantastic. It's going to be, it's the one that you've seen most people use that clip onto their lapel. They're also called lapel mics. And you clip it onto your little lapel right here, right underneath your chin. And it's going to get you really solid audio coming wired into the camera, into the device. And so that is like the simplest way. It's a step above.
In the middle.
Yeah, exactly. That's the middle one right there. The directional or shotgun mic is great on the left side there. Those are great for picking up general sound. A couple people talking, you're talking, but you're standing 6 feet away or whatever, and it's going to get you a lot better audio than having no microphone at all. Now there are also, even bigger ones than the one I'm showing that go a further range out there. But you can just pick and choose the situations that you're in. One of my favorite options, and I've been doing this since when I started the company, was wireless microphones. They've just gotten so inexpensive compared to when I started. I was using a Sennheiser professional wireless microphone. It cost about $980. I had to buy a bunch of different cables to make it work. Now a company like Ceramonic there on the right, they make this is actually one of our best sellers. It's called the Blink 500. And that little thing on the right is it's a receiver, and that fits on top of your Iographer in one of the shoes. And it has a little cable that plugs into your device, all ready to go. And then those other two items are transmitters. So this little set is like $299, but it comes with everything you could possibly need. The blue little devices there on the left, the transmitters, are standalone mics. So you literally can just have that, hold it, and talk into it if you wanted to. But they also come with lavaliers that you plug in, as you see, and then you put those on you, and you're able to go out and start walking around and talking. And you can get up to, I want to say, 50 to 100 feet with these things and get crystal clear audio. So these are just some great options, especially if you're in the things that you're talking to, the people that you're talking to. Maybe you don't want to be tied down with cables and whatnot. You're walking around showing a house or who knows what. It's nice to be free with all that, but getting great sound.
Absolutely. You definitely want to be hands-free. I exclusively use lavaliers. I use the Sennheiser. We use that for broadcast, but I also used to, back in the day, if I even needed to do a track, a voiceover, I had a big system that was in my bedroom. And now I use a smart lav that I plug to an iPod even, or an iPad, and I'm doing broadcast quality audio just using something that is in a little bag.
It's absolutely mind-boggling, right?
It's mind-boggling that we can do that.
Yeah.
So many years of doing my my audio for broadcast on my lap, into a microphone for them to send back to the station. I want to talk about audio because to me, that's one of the biggest challenges. I see so many videos in which people are, walking around and they obviously have great content. They're showing a property or they're talking about something special. And it's just, like Charlie Brown. You can barely hear what they're saying. And a lot of people don't realize that the key we're sharing today, our tricks of the trade, is to plug in one of these lavaliers into the audio, essentially tab on an iPad or an iPhone. And essentially you have broadcast quality audio, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you're just shooting with the camera and all of a sudden I turn around this way, hey, by the way, over here, that audio is gone. It's going to be, you're not going to sound very well, So that's one of the good things about having the lav or or a wireless kit or something, because you can constantly be moving around and still getting great audio. So yeah, absolutely. That is key. If anything to take away from today is, at the very least, plug in your earbuds or something, just get some good audio, because even if the video quality is not amazing, the audio has to be, or you lose me in a second.
Absolutely. People actually turn off. They tune out for audio. I actually want to put you on the spot right now. You're talking to us right now on a microphone, right?
Yes, I am.
And what microphone is it?
Well, so in my home studio, I have a Rode NT USB mic. It's connected. This is really interesting. Let me see if I can bring the camera in a little bit. So this ball right here, one of the things about it's called the Chaotica. And my wife, we have a 1927 Spanish home here. It's all redone for like an old Spanish home. My wife, who was a production designer for and like the shows like Dexter and Weeds, she's very bossy. And so when I made my studio out of one of the rooms, I wanted to put soundboard on the walls to really make it a soundproof room. And she obviously no way in heck I was gonna be able to do that.
She wasn't having it.
Not having it. So the Chaotica eyeball surrounds my microphone and turns it into like a little sound booth right here. So I have all of that plugged into the Rode. This is overkill for 99% of you, but I have what's called the Rodecaster Pro. And it is a big deck like this that if you're doing anything really pro at home that you want to get amazing sound from, and you have multiple channels, the Rodecaster Pro allows me to have 4 different channels. I can bring in music. I can bring in bumpers. If I wanted to bring you, Cathy, in just with your audio only, I could call you on your cell phone. It's connected to the Rodecaster Pro, and it'll bring in your voice that way. So it's crazy.
Well, I want to talk gadgets then. Let's talk. What are some great gadgets? What are your must-haves? Share.
So yeah, for mobile stuff, of course, you want. I'm very particular about our cases. I think they really. We've had so much feedback over the years how they've just done so many great things for anything from well, let's talk recently with the whole COVID thing. We've been seeing a huge influx of customers from funerals. They've been live streaming funerals. There's actually apps that people use to do funerals with. It's sad, but at least they're able to get because you can't attend them. So at least people can now watch them and participate and whatnot. Churches, where we did a little bit of work with churches before all this, but then when it hit, huge amount of people were doing using these devices, because churches aren't going to really, especially if you're a smaller church, you're not going to go buy giant broadcast cameras and all these decks to stream and etc. They wanted a really simple solution, so we helped them out with using these devices, with plugging into the soundboard of the church, so you still got music and you got great audio. And then sports that's coming back, and lots of people are using it to record their kids practicing or playing in sports, and of course they have to be socially distanced, so they're a far amount away, and they need a telephoto lens, and so that just every day some new situation comes up, and we've got that picture that you have up right now. I mean, this is back when I was in my high school. I set up before I left, we were doing a 4-camera live stream, kind of like an ESPN style thing, all driven on an app that was on an iPad. And then we had an iPad up top, 2 of them up top of the stadium, where they had a close-up and a wide-angle shot. And then we had 2 kids on the sidelines with that were running half 50 yard to 50 yard. and they were covering that on iPads, and it was all Wi-Fi'd together to an app that we use called Switcher Studio. And that let us do multicam, live streaming, live switching, graphics. I mean, it was insane. And they've only gotten better since then. They're one of our partners. We recommend them a lot. Switcher Studio is great.
So I'm going to go back just for a second because I don't want the people at home to kind of miss what you've covered here. So when it comes to churches, events, you mentioned funerals, they're using your device, your Iographer, and a tripod to get a steady shot. And then you talked about them streaming it out because people can't attend these events.
Exactly.
Saying that they're using, you just used one example, Switcher Studio for streaming. You're saying that they're using your equipment and then they're streaming it out using Switcher Studio?
Yep, Switcher Studio. Now we're working with a lot of people using Ecamm or OBS. They have home type stuff, StreamYard like we're on today. You certainly can do stuff with that. And you can use actually I just got a call the other day with Zoom Education, because we provide stuff for teachers to do their Zooms in the classroom. And maybe they've got an older computer, they don't have a great camera on it or whatever. So we have the ability to plug in an iPhone or iPad into their computer using a little breakout card that we sell that transforms it from just being an iPhone into a supersonic webcam. And so that's really fun too. So they can switch over and have that, and now have the computer free to do other things that they want because their camera is all set up. So yeah, it's just every day something evolves that we have to find a solution for. We've been working with a lot of fitness trainers recently to get them, because they can't go in the gym. And they've kind of, one of my good friends, they had a beautiful gym here in Pasadena that it was awesome. It was always packed, very high end, very expensive. And they got shut down on March 13th and haven't, opened since. And so they had to transform into an online only kind of thing. And so they've been someone that I've been working with since that time to get the best quality. And now they're opening up their school. All their people have come over there. What's nice about it, it's going to turn into a good lucrative business for them, because people still love taking the classes. They're doing them over Zoom, and then they archive them later. So you and I can see each other working out now and be, oh, I'm still in the class with my friend, And so they have a library of stuff, and it's just been all with mobile devices. And, now it's turning into a great business. With the overhead is much. I mean, I think their overhead was like $70,000 a month or something like that, to now it's like, pennies, because they just have to have space on wherever they're hosting all their videos.
I want to talk to you about the fact that you can use more than one Iographer at once. One of the things that really kind of touched a chord with me is that in television, you always want a multi-camera shoot. I mean, that's when you know that you've hit the big time, when all of your interviews are multi-camera. And that's very difficult, because you need typically not only multiple cameras, but multiple people in order to get those multi-angle shots. When I first became familiar with Iographer, you had multiple cameras, an iPhone, an iPad, and it really did mimic a multi-camera studio. Can you talk a little bit about the capabilities, how many you can really have and what you can do with it?
So that was a great question. The ability now to do a multi-camera meaning multi-device, iPad, iPhone shoot is amazing. I mean, I literally, in the last year, I had to go do a conference where we had a booth at it. And they asked me if it was an educational conference. I've been friends with them for years, so I volunteered to do the live streaming of the event where they had interviews and whatnot. Now, we're a really small company. I took one person with me. They were manning the booth, and I had to go put everything together. It took me 15 minutes to set up a 5-camera shoot, 5 different devices, have it all set up with lower thirds, with all this stuff, using an app called Switcher Studio. And everything except the tripods were in my backpack. So, from your experience, going out there, you would need tons of cables, you would need cameras up the yin yang, and there's no way you did it by yourself. So let me just show you really quickly.
I'm still trying to figure out how you did that without using cables. So
yeah, so I'm going to show you right now. We did it all over Wi-Fi. All you need is to have a Wi-Fi. Now you can have your own. What I would do is bring one of those small Google Wi-Fi adapters. They sell for like $99. They're a small router, and I would connect all the devices to that. Now in order to stream, I would either plug that into an Ethernet cable at the conference we were at, or I could literally just use it as an ad hoc network where I was just using it to capture all the different video angles, not live streaming, but I am just getting those angles, and those are going to be in the final video. Alternatively, you can also connect to your LTE connection if you want, or the Wi-Fi of wherever you are. So it's absolutely mind-boggling. But this really quickly, so this is Switcher Studio. It's literally a television studio in your backpack. And for example, I can do, let me see if I can do this. Here's my little graphic. Welcome to Iographer. You see that, it comes off. If I want to go, let me try over here. Here's my thing where I'm talking about, 10 different things. Oh, I want to bring in a photo. Let me see. Sorry. I don't know how to do it backwards. There's a photo. I'll get rid of this. Down here are different multicam options. I can add inputs up the yin yang. So through this switcher and having this app on other devices, I can have 9 devices on here connected to this. So 9 iPads or iPhones or iPod touches even can be my cameras, and they will all connect to this. I can bring in, here's a video here. Whoops, sorry. We just had an update. Let's see, allow access. There we go. So I can bring in my lower thirds. I can bring in a video. I can do, our broadcast begins shortly. Here's a video that I have that I brought in. So it's just ridiculously amazing. On my little phone here, I can do all of this. And how easy it is just to connect your other devices. You literally launch the app. The app tasks if you're going to be a switchboard or if you're going to be a camera. When you click camera, it says the signal goes up there, and then the main switcher will show it up and say, oh, here's a camera for you, and you just click on it, and all of a sudden it's good to go. And so you can set up, picture-in-picture, multicam, overhead, whatever you want, but up to 9 devices, and it's just ridiculous.
There are so many different platforms that you can use now to go live. I want to talk a little bit about how someone can use video to brand themselves, because that to me is the power. That's a secret sauce, is being able to leverage video. And now there's so many affordable ways to do it.
Oh my gosh, there's just so many ways to skin the cat here. But first and foremost, if you're on Android or on iOS, you want to download an app called Filmic Pro, and it's basically taking your app or your device and putting it on steroids. It's an amazing application for a camera. You can lock focus. You can do all these exposure things. You can shoot in a log or RAW format if you kind of know that whole ability. If you just want to make better video, you could just, it plugs in external microphones. You can monitor the microphones. You can raise the gain in them to get sound louder or less loud. And it's just a monster app. And it basically takes your files and makes them a lot better. So first and foremost, I would say get on Filmic Pro, check it out. I have a course in it at mobilevideoschool.com. Teaches you from zero to hero how to get that all going. The other thing that's nice about it is that it has a remote control companion app. So if you have, for Apple users, if you have another device like an Apple Watch, or maybe you're using your iPad to shoot and you have your iPhone in your pocket, or vice versa, you can bring up the shot into that device to see it remotely and then press start and stop. So that's really good. That was a game changer for me, who used to set up things and then call my wife and ask her to come and make sure I was in the frame and press start. And so she was really happy when all of that went away. So Filmic Pro is fantastic. Then once you shot your video with this app, there's a couple of great editing tools. One, I would say Adobe Rush, Adobe Premiere Pro. If you guys know Photoshop, if you know any of those applications, or I mean, heard of them even, Adobe Rush is their mobile editing application. I was lucky enough to be on the beta and the creation of it. It basically turns your device into an awesome editing tool so you can get content out right away. What's nice about it is that maybe you shot full frame, 16:9, and you're going to put it up to Instagram stories or Instagram itself, and you need to make it into those different views, 9:16 now instead. Well, Adobe Rush has the ability to do what's called auto reframe. So let's say you've edited the full video. It's going to go up on YouTube or your website. It's nice and widescreen. But you know what? There were some snippets of it that you really thought would be cool for your Instagram story to drive people to go to your YouTube video to see the whole thing, or your website, of course. So now all you have to do is select those frames or the entire video if you want, press auto reframe in Adobe Rush, and Adobe Rush will find the center point of that whole video and edit it so that it comes out. So if you're walking around and talking, it's going to find you and you're going to be in the frame the entire time. You don't have to redo a whole new video or anything. So it's fantastic. Adobe Rush is just a great, great tool. Now, if you're taking photos, Lightroom is another one of my favorite camera apps for taking photos. It gives you a lot more ability to get manual controls for it of your camera on your phone or your iPad. It also lets you do some amazing editing afterwards and cropping and things like that, color correction. So check out Lightroom as well. And then, of course, we talked about Switcher Studio. If you're doing any kind of live video, or if you even just want to do a video where you've got your graphics and your lower thirds and you don't really want to go live, but maybe you're doing multiple cameras, you're showing different parts of the house and you want to have multiple cameras. Here would be a situation if I was a realtor. Maybe I set up maybe I had a companion there that was helping me. And I would have them using the Switcher app on the Switch on an iPad, for example. And then I set up an iPhone in one room, another iPod Touch in another room, and I could walk around with my wireless microphone plugged in and say, okay, here we are. Let's walk down this way. You could walk, and then the camera can switch to the next camera, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff like that. So those are some amazing apps. I also do teach Switcher Studio if you guys are interested. All of this is at my companion site called mobilevideoschool.com.
That to me is really the future of television, streaming, live streaming. It's what we're doing right now, essentially. And so I think that when you talk about the devices that someone has, these mobile devices, the cell phones and the iPads, you really can create really anything that you want now. You can create a feature film, really. And so essentially you have what you need in the palm of your hand. It's so advanced.
If you're just using your phone or your phone really, and you want some better lighting, you're out there doing some selfie stuff, or you have it on a little monopod or tripod, the middle light is a massive seller for us because it's a tiny little diva light that just clips onto the end of your phone. It's giving you a little ring light ability and gets you well lit, I should say. And it's just really something that you just put into your back pocket or your purse or your backpack or whatever. And then if you want to go a little more robust, the Lume Cube light panel is amazing. It provides 5600 lighting up to 5600 Kelvin. So you're going to get super, super bright light. It's the size of about an iPhone Max, the bigger iPhones, and runs on USB power. So you would plug it in, get it charged up. It has its own battery, I should say, and you're good to go. And then you can just mount this on top of your Iographer. You can mount it on stands that we sell as well. So if you want to place a couple around the room, but literally, if you had on the maybe 2 or 3 of the Lume Cube panel lights, you'd be good to go for any situation. It would provide plenty of light. So these are all things that just fit into your backpacks or your pocket.
You talked about earlier being a teacher in a broadcast media department at a high school, and that you were using this big heavy equipment. And that's when you said to yourself, maybe there's a better way to do this. And that's when you invented Iographer. These days, video has transformed, equipment has transformed, and you simply don't need to have all this heavy or even expensive equipment to shoot good video. So let's talk now about some of the tools that someone can have at home. I am so happy to be partnering with you and Iographer to create really two robust, ready-to-go kits. And the first one is Studio to Go. And I handpick these items that anyone can use to really create their own broadcast. It's affordable. You can put it into a small bag. It includes a light, a microphone, an Iographer case, a mini tripod, all those things that you really need in order to shoot video on the go. And then in addition to that, if you want to create really your own broadcast studio, all you need to do is add a green screen and a full-size tripod. A green screen really allows you to key any type of background that you want. That's what I have right here. I have a green screen behind me. And essentially it allows you to either brand yourself, or you can use, put an interior behind you. You can really create anything. Dave, what are you using these days to key a green screen? Are you using iMovie?
You definitely can use it in iMovie to key out the green screen. It's very simple. I'm a Premiere Pro user. I like to use Premiere Pro. But if you're, there's a lot of apps, Adobe Rush as well. There's a lot of apps out there. If you're doing a show like we're doing StreamYard today, you're using a green screen. It's literally like a one button to change it. Zoom, if you guys are doing Zoom stuff, it's literally a one click to change the green screen. And going back, trying to do green screen keying was a very hard thing to do back in the day, where you really had to have it well lit. You couldn't have any shadows. It needed to be really lit perfectly to get a great key.
David Basulto, video guru and inventor of Iographer, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everyone. I'm interior designer Cathy Hobbs. I own Cathy Hobbs Design Recipes in New York City. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.